Welcome to Cloud Infrastructure Services YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to go over the list of top 10 best open source web servers for Linux and for Windows. So let's get started. So at number 1, we have the Apache HTTP server. Now, the Apache HTTP server is one of the oldest and most popular web server which was released back in 1995. Now, it has a lot of advantages and perks, and the most prominent one is the speed. Well, it is one of the fastest, reliable and the most secure web servers that is customizable and that can also handle heavy traffic with the minimal amount of configuration. So that is why it has been placed at number 1. Now, another feature that we get with Apache HTTP server are the Apache modules. Now, because it is a free open source infrastructure, this helps the developer to view and collaborate the source code. Now, what this does is that it opens up the world for modules, and Apache is full of modules. Now, if we were to talk about the Apache server features, then there are a lot to talk about. As mentioned before, that it is really easy to configure, it is fast and secure, it is written in the C language, which is one of the most prominent and the most popular languages of the world, and the module-based structure makes it more flexible. And then we have other features as well. Well, let's talk about number 2 at our list, which is the Nginx Web Server. Now, Nginx is yet another very popular web server that is available for Windows and for Linux based operating systems. Now, if you were to talk about the key features about the Nginx web servers, then it has a modular design as well, and by default it comes with a lot of modules that are really helpful when we are trying to set up a large scale store. So it comes with default modules which are reverse proxy, load balancer, HTTP cache, API gateway and so much more. And if we talk about the use of Nginx, then approximately 33.7% of all the web applications are based or hosted on Nginx. And if we list out the features of Nginx, then we have the fast CGI support and reverse proxy with caching, high performance and requires very few resources. Now, since it can handle very large scale applications, so we can just simply say that it can handle around 10,000 concurrent connections. It has auto indexing, better scalability, load balancing support which comes by default. It can prevent your website from DDoS attacks, API gateway, WebSockets and so much more, and even the support for IPv6. Now let's talk about number 3 on our list, which is the Lighttpd Web Server. Now, Lighttpd Web Server is really fast, secure, free open source software which might not be as famous as Apache and Nginx. Well, the key points of Lighttpd Web Server is that the minimal footprint. Now, this Lighttpd Web Server has a minimal footprint that is even lesser than 1 megabyte. Now, this was developed by Nginx and it is really easy to set up. And since it is very light, it is best recommended for the use of speed. And again, because of it being very light, it requires low CPU environment and low memory environment as well. Coming to the key features, the Lighttpd, even with being very light, it is compatible with both IPv4 and IPv6 configurations. It is really easy to set up. It supports CGI, fast CGI, SCGI for interface programming and so much more. It contains URL rewriting that you get with Apache. It contains virtual hosting and it even contains HTTP2 support. And then we have other features as well. Now at number 4, we have the OpenLiteSpeed Web Server. Now this one might not be as much famous as the other ones, just like for the Lighttpd, but this one is even more secure than the Lighttpd, Apache and Nginx. Now originally, it was designed to manage web applications and monitor varied server metrics. And one key factor of this OpenLiteSpeed Web Server is that it is a totally event-driven, resource-optimized architecture. Now this is something that we do not often get with other web servers. And if we talk about the key features, then you get some very unique key features with OpenLiteSpeed Web Server. So we have the bandwidth throttling, we have anti-DDoS features connection, one-click installation, less overhead and more scalability, and then we have built-in web admin GUI, and then so much more. Next up the list is going to be one that is used by a lot of the modern day programmers, which is the Node.JS web server. Now, Node.js web server is actually a JavaScript at runtime. Now, it was written by Ryan Dahl to build web applications in JavaScript and solely for JavaScript. But later on, it became a very cross-platform open source web server that can host HTTP modules to enhance its function as a web server. Now this is comparatively newer than other web servers as it was created in 2009. And one of the most prominent features that we get with Node is that it is capable of asynchronous input and output operations. Now if we talk about the other features of Node.js, it is easy to install, fast and efficient networking support, provides vast scalability as major enterprise softwares are now being hosted on Node.js, and it is easy to manage front-end and back-end with JavaScript since it is a framework of JavaScript. Now number 6 on our list is again Apache, but this time around we have Apache Tomcat Web Server. Now there are a lot of features that come with Apache Tomcat Web Server, and the first and the foremost is high scalability and performance. This web server offers high scalability and performance, which is why many large organizations often demand such software. And another thing is that it was actually built to host Java servlets. It is a Java servlet that includes a large number of tools with extended functionality to interact with other Java servlets. And if we talk about some of the technical specification, then this was designed. Now if we talk about some of the other technical specification, then the design of Apache Tomcat Web Server also includes a few technical specifications, that is Java Server Web Pages, which is JSP, and Java Expression Language, which is Java EL. Now if we talk about the listing of Apache Tomcat features, then it is highly flexible, lightweight, TLS virtual hosting, advanced input-output capabilities. It even supports AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, HTTP2 and OpenSSL, and it has refactored clustering. Now at number 7 we have Caddy Web Server. Now Caddy is very unique. Caddy is one of the most powerful multi-platform web server alternatives to Apache Web Server. Even though Apache was placed at number 1, since it is an alternative, that is why Caddy has been placed at number 7. While being a very powerful multi-platform web server, it is also available to all of the distributions. That means that it is available for Mac, Windows, Android, Linux, BSD and Solaris. Now it is the only web server that is written in Go language, and only 0.1% of the web applications and websites use this server. Now it has a very interesting key feature, which is HTTPS by default. Well, this feature of Caddy project is that it automatically uses the HTTPS, which is secured than HTTP, as default, and it renews the TLS certifications on its own. Now if we talk about the features of Caddy Web Server, then we get no dependency. Now it serves gzip compression and headers, it supports IPv6, it supports virtual hosting, URL rewriting, and it even supports WebSockets technology, which is highly unlikely for the web server that hosts around 0.1% of the web applications. At number 8, we have Hiawatha Web Server. Now as funky as the name Hiawatha is, it is actually really secure and extremely lightweight. Hiawatha is a secure, lightweight and easy to use web server which is specifically written for Unix, and it is written in the C programming language. Now the key features are again speed and security. It was designed to produce speed and to provide security. Now if you talk about the advanced features, then Hiawatha advanced features make your web server highly secure and can stop SQL injections or XSS and CSRF attacks. So let's quickly go over the Hiawatha features. Then we have the support for chroot, CGI and load balancing, fast CGI support, SSL and TLS support, and so much more, which include IPv6 support, large file hosting and virtual hosting. At number 9, we have Cherokee Web Server. Now Cherokee Web Server is also open source and cross-platform that can be run on Linux, Mac OS, Solaris and BSD. Now it is a highly flexible web server. This web server is not only highly flexible, light and fast, it even has a friendly web-based interface. Now initially the design was created for a personal development project, but later it gained popularity due to its extremely simple interface. Now it's so simple that a key feature is that it does not require any expertise. To run and work on this server, one does not require any expertise in the command line configuration. And at number 10, and if we talk about the Cherokee features, then it can manage concurrent connections on a very low memory. It can improve hardware performance. It supports fast CGI, CGI, SSI and SCGI. Again, we get the TLS support for SSL encrypted connections, load balancing, and even HTTP reverse proxy. Now at number 10, we have the H2O Web Server. Now H2O is a C language new generation open source HTTP server that is licensed under the MIT. Now its main objective was to design such a web server that can fully create and host HTTP2 implementation. Now it contains a lot of support. It has vast support for server push, WebSockets, TLS, latency optimization, prioritized content serving, and so much more. And if you talk about the features, then it is written in the C programming language, which is by far the most famous programming language, especially when it comes to Linux. It supports server push, WebSockets, and TLS, and then it also contains the normal features that we should get with other web servers. Now, if you want to deploy Node.js, Apache Tomcat, Apache HTTP Server, or Nginx on the cloud-hosted platforms such as AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, then you will find the tutorials to do so in our channel. And you would find the link of all of these images for the cloud platform in the description box as well. So after watching this list, we hope that you can choose the web server that is most suitable for you. If you can do so, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel.